Humanity believed the long years of peace would last. For decades, humans worked hard to build calm borders, trade routes, and gentle relations with many species. People on Earth and its colonies thought the age of surprise attacks was over. They felt safe. They trusted the agreements signed by the Korath Dominion and believed both sides wished for peace. But peace ended in a single moment, and the galaxy changed forever. Briar Station was a quiet human colony on the far edge of settled space. It was not a military base. It had families, farms, research labs, and simple towns. Children played in the fields. Workers traveled to and from the ore platforms. Life was slow there and full of hope. Many people chose Briar Station because they wanted a calm start, far from the fast and crowded life on Earth. One early morning, without warning, the sky over Briar Station split open with fire. Korath warships appeared in the upper atmosphere, emerging from silent jump portals. No signal, no warning, no chance to prepare. The colony sensors detected them only seconds before the attack. The alarms rang across the settlement, but it was already too late. The Korath ships released a storm of energy blasts that struck the main city and the nearby settlements. Buildings burned, towers fell, and the ground shook as if the planet itself cried out. People ran through the streets, calling for their loved ones trying to escape. Emergency teams rushed to help, but the strikes were too strong and too many. The colony defense grid tried to respond, but it was not made for a large-scale attack. Within minutes it was gone. Millions of lives ended that day. Families disappeared. Houses turned into dust. The fires burned for days, seen from orbit as glowing scars across the land. The survivors were few, scattered, and broken. They sent desperate messages into space, hoping someone would hear them and bring help. Humanity heard them, and humanity would never forget. News of the attack reached Earth within hours. The Joint Defense Command called an emergency meeting. Screens across the room showed images of Briar Station before and after the strike. Smiling families in the first set of images. Silence, smoke, and ruins in the second. Every officer in the room felt anger, grief, and disbelief. General Aaron Cole sat at the center of the table. He had served for 30 years, seen many conflicts, and lost many friends. But he had never seen an attack like this, one that targeted innocent people with no military purpose. He looked at the images again and again, each time feeling something inside him become still and cold. He asked for a clear report. The officers explained that the energy signatures belonged to Korath military vessels. There was no mistake. It was a deliberate strike. There was no sign of communication, no offer of negotiation, no reason given. General Cole closed his eyes for a moment. He thought of the people on Briar Station, of the lives they were building. He thought of the trust humanity had given the Korath Dominion. Now that trust had become ashes. At the far end of the room, intelligence officer Laura Briggs brought forward new information. She was young, sharp, and known for her careful work. She showed intercepted Korath transmissions. The data proved the Dominion Council had approved the attack. It was not a rogue fleet. It was not an accident, it was an order. The room went silent. No one knew why the Dominion would attack a peaceful colony. Some believed it was fear of human growth. Others thought the Dominion wanted to scare humanity into retreating from border space. But whatever the reason, the message was clear. The Korath Dominion struck humanity first. General Cole stood slowly. His hands pressed against the table, steady and controlled. He looked around the room and spoke with calm strength. He said that humanity must respond, not out of anger alone, but out of duty. If humanity stayed silent, more colonies would fall, more families would be lost, more fires would burn across the stars. Humanity had to protect itself. Humanity had to stand. Across Earth and the colonies, people reacted with shock and pain. Families who had relatives on Briar Station wept. News stations played the last recorded messages from survivors. Some people cried. Some shouted, many demanded justice, many demanded answers. The loss united humanity in a way nothing had in years. Ships across the fleet were placed on alert. Engineers worked around the clock. Pilots trained without rest. Scientists reviewed enemy technology. Everyone played a part, even those far from the battles that would come. Humanity was preparing not for revenge alone, but to survive. While fleets organized, General Cole prepared to travel to the Dominion capital. He believed that before any battle began, there had to be one final attempt at truth. He wanted to stand before the Dominion Council and face them. He wanted to hear their reason if they had won. He wanted them to look into the eyes of a human general and understand what they had done. Laura Briggs warned him that the council would not give answers. She said they would deny everything or claim it was a mistake. But Cole insisted. He needed to give the galaxy a clear record. Humans did not launch wars without purpose. Humans did not act without giving the enemy a chance to speak. Meanwhile, on outer stations, human scouts gathered more reports. They found evidence of Korath troop movements near the borders. It looked as if the Dominion was preparing for a larger campaign. They had not only attacked Briar Station, they were planning something bigger, something darker. Megan Ortiz, a fleet strategist with a sharp mind and calm voice, reviewed the patterns. She saw the shape of the enemy's plan. If humanity did nothing, the Dominion would push deeper into human space. First the colonies, then the trade routes, and eventually Earth itself. Megan quietly drafted the first sketches of Operation Iron Resolve, a response designed to stop the Dominion before they grew too bold. But Megan kept the details quiet for now. She waited for General Cole to return from the Dominion capital. Only then would they begin the next steps. While humanity prepared for what was coming, life continued in small ways. Children on Earth asked why their parents looked so sad. Workers in the shipyards polished new armor plates with slow, careful hands. Pilots practiced emergency maneuvers again and again, wanting to make sure no one else had to suffer like the people of Briar Station. General Cole visited the families of the victims. He listened to their stories, their anger, and their pain. He stayed with them longer than anyone expected. Some thanked him. Some held him and cried. Others simply sat in silence. He promised all of them that their loved ones would not be forgotten, and he promised that humanity would not allow such a tragedy to happen again. As he walked out of the last home, the sun was setting. Cole looked at the horizon and felt a deeper resolve settle into him. He knew the path ahead would be long and dangerous. Many would suffer before peace returned. But he also knew something else. Humanity no longer feared the Dominion. They no longer believed they were weak. The galaxy had underestimated humans before, and every time it had proven to be a mistake. A week later, Cole boarded the Horizon, the flagship assigned to carry him to the Dominion capital. The crew saluted him. Their faces were young but determined. They knew this mission was important. The ship rose through Earth's atmosphere and entered the quiet darkness of space. The stars stretched around them like endless lights. During the journey, Cole spent hours reviewing files, images, and transmissions. Each time he saw Briar Station, he felt the same cold resolve. He did not need anger to guide him. Duty was enough. Justice was enough. When the Horizon approached Dominion space, they were met with a Korath escort. The alien ships were sharp, dark, and shaped like curved blades. They guided the Horizon to the capital world. Cole watched them closely, noting their formation and weapons. He learned everything he could. Humans always learned fast. The Dominion capital was a massive world covered in bright metallic architecture. Towers rose like polished fangs, and transport rails glowed across the surface. The council chamber stood on the highest peak, shining with cold blue light. As the Horizon landed on the designated pad, Cole prepared himself. He wore a simple uniform, clean and unadorned. No medals, no decorations. He wanted the council to see a man representing all of humanity, not a symbol of rank. He walked down the ramp with a calm and steady pace. The air was sharp and cold. The Korath guards watched him with narrow, unreadable eyes. They led him inside without a word. The council chamber was vast. The ceiling rose higher than any building Cole had seen. Rows of Korath leaders sat in a circle, their faces hard and proud. None of them looked ashamed. None of them looked sorry. Cole stood alone in the center. He looked at them and spoke with quiet strength. He asked why they attacked Briar Station. He asked why they killed innocent people. He asked why they broke the peace they had sworn to keep. The council responded with cold denial. They claimed no knowledge of the attack. They said humans were mistaken. They said humans were emotional and unable to understand real politics. Cole listened without blinking. Then he presented the data Laura Briggs had recovered, the transmissions with Council approval, the signatures of Dominion warships, the undeniable proof. The Council tried to shift the blame, but even they could not fully hide their surprise. Some exchanged nervous glances, others remained stone-faced. Cole realized then that the truth did not matter to them. They had struck humanity because they believed humans would do nothing. They believed humans were too weak to fight back. He looked at them one last time and spoke the words that would soon echo across the galaxy. He said they struck humanity first, and now humanity would bring the war to their worlds. The guards ordered him to leave, but he did not rush. He walked out with calm steps, carrying the weight of every life lost on Briar Station. When the Horizon left the Dominion capital, humanity's path was set. There was no turning back now. General Aaron Cole returned from the Dominion capital with a heavy mind. The Horizon traveled through silent space, but inside the general's thoughts there was no silence. He replayed every moment in the council chamber, the cold faces, the empty excuses, the lies spoken as if truth no longer mattered. It was clear to him that the Dominion never feared humanity. They believed they could strike first and suffer nothing in return. They believed humans were weak, slow, and unwilling to fight back. Cole stood near the observation window of the ship. Stars drifted past in long, thin lines, and the gentle hum of the engines filled the air. He rested his hand against the glass and watched the distant lights. Each star reminded him of the lives lost on Briar Station. Each spark of light reminded him of all the homes that could be next if nothing was done. He did not want war, but war had already come. The crew of the Horizon walked quietly around him, sensing his deep focus. They respected him not because of his rank, but because of the way he carried the weight of others. They knew he did not make decisions lightly. They trusted him because he felt responsible for every life under his command. When the ship entered human space, Cole finally left the window and headed toward the command deck. Officers stood at attention as he entered. Communications Officer Nadia Brooks spoke first, informing him that every major human colony waited for his report. Governments wanted answers, families wanted direction, and the fleet wanted orders. Cole listened carefully and nodded. He told her to send a message. He would speak once he returned to Earth. The Horizon landed at fleet headquarters 2 days later. A large crowd stood outside the base, kept back by security. Some held signs calling for justice. Others simply waited, hoping for reassurance. Cole stepped out of the ship, and the noise of the crowd softened into silence. People looked at him, not with anger but with hope. They wanted to believe humanity would not fall again. Cole walked past them and entered the main building. Inside, the Joint Defense Command awaited him. The room looked the same as when he left, but the mood was far heavier. Officers stood around the large table, their screens showing maps of human space and areas where Korath forces had been detected. There were more red marks now than before. Cole took his seat and placed a simple data chip on the table. The room fell silent as he began to speak. He told them everything that happened at the Dominion capital. He explained the lies, the denial, and the unwillingness of the Council to speak honestly. He then played the recording of his final words to the Council. The room listened as his voice echoed. Humanity would bring the war to their worlds. When the recording ended, every officer looked at him with a new expression. It was not fear. It was not shock. It was something stronger, resolve. Admiral Harris, an older man with a steady voice, leaned forward. He said humanity had no choice now. The Dominion had made their intentions clear. If humans did nothing, more colonies would fall. If humans acted too slowly, they might lose their entire border. Laura Briggs entered with new intelligence reports. She explained that the Dominion was already preparing for another attack. Their fleets were gathering near 3 border systems. They were waiting only for a signal. Humanity had little time. Cole listened and then stood. He said humanity must respond, but not blindly. He wanted strategy, not rage. He wanted precision, not chaos. He wanted humanity to act with clarity and purpose. The room agreed. Fleet strategist Megan Ortiz stepped forward. She had spent days working on the first version of Operation Iron Resolve. She unfolded a digital map showing the Dominion's border worlds and supply routes. The operation would strike key locations that fed the Dominion's war machine. Shipyards, fuel depots, and communication towers would be the first targets. If humanity hit hard and fast, the Dominion would be forced to slow down. Cole studied every detail. He asked many questions. He tested every idea. He pushed Megan to make the plan stronger. And when he felt ready, he approved the operation. Iron resolve would begin within days. Across human space, fleets began to move. Pilots ran simulations. Engineers upgraded ships. Communication officers kept silent channels open. Everyone sensed the same thing: the age of fear was over. Humanity was no longer hiding. Humanity was rising. While preparations continued, Cole spent time meeting with key officers. One of them was Captain Ryan Lewis, who had been chosen to lead the first wave of the operation. Ryan was known for his calm judgment under pressure. He had a quiet confidence that spread to those around him. Cole told him that his mission would set the tone for the entire war. Ryan nodded and said he would not fail. Next, Cole met with Dana Brooks, a ground forces commander. She would lead the liberation teams for colonies already endangered by Dominion patrols. Dana was strong, observant, and brave. She did not back down from threats. She asked Cole only for one thing: clear rules of engagement to protect civilian lives. He gave her his full support. Meanwhile, scientists and engineers reviewed captured Korath technology. They learned how the Dominion cloaked their jump portals and how their warships used curved layered shields. Humans were quick learners, and soon they created updates that made their own ships stronger. As the war preparations grew, fear did not control the people. Instead, something else spread through human space: unity. People worked together. They helped build faster. They pushed past old disagreements. They realized they were fighting not only for survival but for the right to exist freely. Finally, the day arrived. The fleet stood ready at the edge of space. Cole walked through the hangars, speaking to pilots and soldiers. He thanked them for their courage. He reminded them that they did not fight for revenge. They fought to protect every future home, every child, every dream humanity still held. When he boarded the command ship Sentinel, he looked across the hangar one last time. Faces young and old looked back at him. Some were afraid, but none were unwilling. That gave him strength. The Sentinel rose into orbit and joined the gathered fleet. Dozens of ships formed a protective formation, their engines glowing like a field of stars. Cole stood on the command deck as officers prepared the final jump. Megan Ortiz stood beside him, reviewing the operation timeline. She explained each step again, though both of them already knew it by heart. Cole listened quietly, appreciating her precision. She helped give shape to humanity's response. Cole then ordered the fleet to open the secure channel. Millions of humans across colonies and ships watched as he spoke. His message was calm and clear. He said humanity had been struck without warning. He said innocent lives had been taken. But he also said that humanity would not become like the Dominion. They would fight, but they would protect. They would stand strong, but they would not forget who they were. The message ended, and across the stars people stood with renewed courage. The moment came. Cole gave the order. The first fleet activated its jump engines, and space twisted around them. In an instant, they vanished from human space. They reappeared near a dark stretch of stars where the Dominion shipyard hung in orbit around a barren moon. The shipyard was massive, shaped like a ring of steel and glowing lights. Korath ships drifted nearby, unaware of the silent threat approaching. Captain Ryan Lewis led the spearhead ship Resolute. His voice echoed across the comm channel, steady and controlled. He ordered the first strike. Human ships moved with speed the Dominion never expected. Rail cannons fired, sending bright streaks of light into the shipyard. Explosions burst across its structure. Korath ships scrambled, but they were too slow. Human fighters shot past them, striking engines and shield generators. The shipyard burned, sending sparks into the void. Ryan guided the Resolute through enemy fire, using new maneuvering systems developed after Briar Station. He avoided a heavy blast by inches, then delivered a final shot that tore through the shipyard's core. The structure folded inward like a collapsing star. The first victory belonged to humanity. Meanwhile, Dana Brooks led her ground team on a nearby moon the Dominion used as a supply base. Her transports landed under cover of darkness. The team moved with careful steps, disabling alarms and taking down guards without unnecessary harm. When they reached the command center, Dana confronted the Korath overseer. He expected humans to be brutal. Instead, Dana gave him a chance to surrender. He did, confused and shaken. Human Marines secured the base, freeing workers who had been forced into labor. Many of them were not human, but from smaller species the Dominion had dominated. They looked at Dana with disbelief, unsure why humans treated them kindly. Dana simply said no one deserved chains. News of the victories spread across human space. People celebrated, some with cheers and others with tears. They felt hope for the first time since Briar Station. But the Dominion also heard the news. Their leaders were furious. They never imagined humans could strike their world so quickly or so effectively. They began preparing their own response, gathering more ships and more soldiers, convinced they could crush humanity if they tried harder. Cole knew this was only the beginning. The Dominion was wounded but not defeated. They would return with anger and force. Humanity had to be ready. When the first wave of Operation Iron Resolve ended, Cole called his officers to the command deck. He told them the truth. The road ahead would be long. There would be losses. There would be dark days. But humanity had crossed a line and there was no going back. He looked at Megan, Ryan, Dana, Laura, and the others. They had become the backbone of humanity's resistance. He trusted them with his life. As the fleet moved to the next target, Cole stood once again by the observation window. The stars glowed softly, distant and silent. He felt the weight of responsibility, but he also felt something else rising within him: determination. The Dominion had struck first. Now humanity was bringing the war to their worlds. And this time, humanity would not break. Humanity's first victories spread across the galaxy like a spark traveling through dry grass. Colonists cheered. Soldiers felt renewed strength. Families who had lost loved ones at Briar Station whispered that justice was finally rising. But while people celebrated, General Aaron Cole understood the truth more clearly than anyone. The war had only begun. Victories brought hope, but they also brought attention. The Dominion would not stay silent. They would answer with force. Cole stood in the command center of the Sentinel as the fleet moved deeper into enemy space. Screens around him showed maps of the systems ahead. Some stars glowed brightly, while others appeared dim, hidden behind dust clouds. Human ships flew in careful formation, prepared for whatever lay ahead. Megan Ortiz stood beside him, studying enemy patterns. She spoke quietly, explaining that the Dominion had begun to gather war fleets in 3 neighboring systems. Their strategy was changing. They were trying to surround the human fleet and force them into a trap. Cole listened and nodded. He expected the Dominion to react this way. He turned to Ryan Lewis, who stood near the center console. Ryan reported that the Resolute and its squadron were ready for rapid strikes. His team had repaired their ship after the last battle and improved shield systems based on captured technology. Dana Brooks entered moments later, her armor still carrying marks from the last ground mission. She reported that liberated workers from the supply base had been moved safely to human space. Some of them chose to join the human effort, not as fighters, but as guides who understood the Dominion's territory. Cole appreciated their courage. The Dominion had ruled them for years, forcing them to work in harsh conditions. Now, for the first time, they felt a chance for freedom. Humanity welcomed them without hesitation. As meetings continued, Laura Briggs delivered new intelligence. She had intercepted encrypted Dominion communications showing strong reactions to the human attacks. Some leaders demanded immediate retaliation. Others insisted the Dominion should crush humanity quickly before other species started to rebel. The messages also revealed something troubling. The Dominion had created a new command group called the Iron Talons, a special fleet designed to counter human tactics. The Iron Talons were led by Commander Vrax, a Korath officer known for his aggressive mind and ruthless decisions. He believed fear was the best tool for control. He had led many conquests and rarely left survivors. Hearing his name made the room fall silent. Cole understood that Vrax would not underestimate humans. He would study their methods and strike where they least expected. Despite the rising threat, the human fleet moved on with determination. They entered the next target system, a region filled with asteroid fields and thick clouds of dust. This system held a Dominion communication hub hidden inside a large cluster of rocks. The hub connected many outposts and carried troop orders across the border. If humanity destroyed it, the Dominion's coordination would weaken. Megan briefed the fleet on the mission. She explained that human ships would need to move quietly through the dust, using low power to avoid detection. Ryan's squadron would lead, clearing a path. Once they reached the hub, they would strike fast before enemy reinforcements could arrive. Ryan nodded and prepared his team. The Resolute guided the way, moving through narrow spaces between drifting asteroids. The quiet motion of the rocks made the scene feel like floating through a slow river. Pilots held their breath as they passed close to jagged stone edges. When the communication hub finally appeared, it looked like a glowing metal sphere wrapped in black wires and rotating plates. Small Dominion ships surrounded it, unaware of the danger approaching. Ryan gave the signal. Human fighters burst from the dust clouds with sudden speed. Rail shots hit the outer shield of the hub, shaking its structure. The surrounding Dominion ships scrambled into defensive positions, firing back with scattered bursts. But human ships moved with precision, weaving through enemy fire and hitting power nodes along the hub's surface. Explosions rippled across the sphere. The rotation slowed. Lights flickered. Ryan saw an opportunity and ordered a final strike. The Resolute fired its main rail cannon directly into the central core. The hub cracked, sending shockwaves through the asteroid field. The structure broke apart silently in the vacuum of space. The communication network was gone, but there was no time to celebrate. Laura's voice cut sharply through the comm channel. She warned them that a new fleet was approaching fast, units marked with the sign of the Iron Talons. Commander Vrax had arrived. Human ships regrouped quickly. Cole ordered the fleet to form a defensive line. The stars ahead darkened as massive Dominion warships emerged from jump portals. Their armor was thicker, their weapons larger, and their formation tight. They looked like a wall of sharp metal waiting to crush anything in their path. Cole stood calm as he watched the enemy appear. He ordered all ships to hold position. The first wave of Dominion fire cut across the battlefield like a streak of fire. Human shields absorbed the impact but shook under the pressure. Ryan led the counterattack. His squadron darted toward weak spots in the Dominion formation. They struck engines, shield nodes, and communication masts. Many shots hit, but Vrax reacted quickly, adjusting his ships with surprising speed. The battle turned fierce. Blue and white blasts streaked across the dark. Ships twisted and rolled as they avoided collisions with drifting asteroid fragments. Dana monitored the fight from the ground operations deck, ready to deploy her unit if needed. Cole watched every movement carefully. He noticed Vrax was testing their formation, searching for weaknesses. Megan confirmed it. She said Vrax was studying human tactics, trying to predict their next move. Cole changed their pattern at once. He shifted the fleet's formation into a wide arc, spreading the ships to avoid concentrated fire. Human vessels started moving unpredictably, switching directions and speeds. Vrax hesitated. His formation broke for a moment. That moment was enough. Ryan pushed forward and struck the central command ship with a focused rail volley. The impact broke its front shields and forced it to retreat. Human ships followed with coordinated strikes, pushing the Iron Talons back. The battle lasted hours. Both sides took heavy hits, but the Dominion finally began to withdraw. Their burned ships retreated toward deeper space. The Iron Talons had not expected such strong resistance. When the battle ended, the field was full of drifting wreckage and sparks of fading lights. Human crews worked to rescue survivors from damaged ships. Engineers moved quickly to repair engines and renew shields. Cole thanked every squadron for their bravery. He told them they had faced the Dominion's most dangerous forces and stood strong. But he also knew this was not the last time they would face Vrax. Later, Cole walked alone through the silent corridors of the Sentinel. He paused by a large window. The stars looked calm again, but he knew calm never lasted long in war. Megan joined him, holding new reports. She explained that the Dominion's retreat was not a sign of defeat but a change of strategy. Vrax would return with more forces or a new plan. The Dominion would not allow their borders to fall so easily. Cole nodded. He understood the rhythm of war. Each victory opened a new challenge. Each step forward carried greater danger. In the following days, the human fleet repaired, resupplied, and prepared for the next phase. They needed to strike deeper into enemy territory to weaken the Dominion's ability to attack. Human engineers studied captured Dominion parts, learning faster than the enemy expected. Dana spent time training new recruits. Many volunteered after hearing news of the battles. She taught them discipline, calm thinking, and respect for life. Her unit grew stronger. Ryan trained his pilots to handle sudden shifts in battle. He focused on building instinct, not just skill. Laura continued to intercept Dominion messages. Her careful listening revealed a troubling detail. Some border worlds were planning to resist the Dominion, inspired by humanity's courage. If they rose up, the Dominion would crush them brutally. Cole discussed this with Megan. They agreed humanity could not ignore those worlds. If they allowed the Dominion to punish them, humanity would lose potential allies and innocent lives would be destroyed. Cole made a new decision. He ordered the fleet to head toward a border world called Thurak 3, where resistance was forming. It was dangerous, but it was the right thing to do. The fleet moved out once more. Thurak 3 was a rocky world covered in blue mist. Dominion troops had already gathered around the main settlement. The local population was trapped and afraid. Human ships appeared suddenly in the sky, breaking through the clouds. The Dominion soldiers panicked, firing upward without aim. Dana led her unit onto the surface. The battle was harsh but short. Her team moved swiftly, disabling enemy weapons and chasing them off-world. The local population watched with stunned eyes. They had never seen anyone stand against the Dominion so boldly. When the fight ended, a small group approached Dana. Their leader, a woman with pale skin and bright silver eyes, bowed her head. She said her people had lived in fear for generations. She asked why humans had come. Dana replied simply, because no one deserved to live under chains. Word of the liberation spread quickly. Other oppressed groups heard about humans helping without asking for anything in return. The galaxy began to change. New hope began to spread, but hope brought danger. Commander Vrax learned of the liberation. He was furious. He saw humanity not only as an enemy but as a growing force that threatened the Dominion's power. He sent a message to the Council: humanity must be crushed completely. The Council agreed. They prepared a new weapon, something hidden deep within their territory, something old, powerful, and dangerous. Cole did not know what the Dominion was planning, but he felt the shift in the air. He sensed darker days ahead. As the fleet gathered for their next move, he stood once more at the observation window. He whispered a quiet promise to the people of Briar Station, to those already lost, and to those still alive. Humanity would not fall. Humanity would not turn back. The war was far from over. The war moved toward a darker stage after the liberation of Thurak 3. Humanity had made strong gains, but each victory pushed the Dominion to act with more force and more fear. General Aaron Cole understood this well. He knew the Dominion would not allow more worlds to rise up. He knew they would respond with something devastating. What he did not yet know was how far they were willing to go. Inside the command center of the Sentinel, Cole studied new intelligence reports. Laura Briggs stood beside him, showing scans and intercepted messages. Her voice was steady, but the information was troubling. The Dominion was preparing something they called the Red Storm Protocol. The reports did not explain what it was. But every reference suggested a weapon, something old and dangerous, something forgotten by most of the galaxy. Megan Ortiz joined them and studied the images with a serious look. She said the energy readings from the facility where the weapon was stored were unstable. She explained that the Dominion was trying to power something that required enormous resources. It could not be a simple fleet or new ship. It had to be something larger. Cole felt tension in his chest. He knew that if the Dominion activated the Red Storm Protocol, the entire balance of the war could change. Humanity had to stop it before it was too late. He called a meeting with his main officers. Ryan Lewis, Dana Brooks, Megan, and Laura gathered around the central table. The map of the enemy facility appeared in front of them. It was located deep inside Dominion space on a moon called Karos 5. The moon was covered in storms and red clouds, hiding the ground from scanners. No one knew what exactly the Dominion had built beneath the storm layers. Cole explained the mission. The human fleet would move to Karos 5 and destroy the weapon before the Dominion could activate it. The mission would be dangerous. The facility was heavily guarded, and the Iron Talons, led by Commander Vrax, were expected to defend it. Ryan nodded and said the Resolute would lead the first strike. Dana said her ground team would enter the facility if needed. Megan confirmed she would coordinate the full attack pattern. Laura warned them that Vrax would not allow this mission to succeed easily. Cole thanked them for their courage. He reminded them that they were fighting not only for humanity, but for every world that feared the Dominion. They understood their responsibility and prepared for the hardest mission of the war. 2 days later, the human fleet gathered near a quiet star, waiting to jump. The silence before the mission felt heavy. Many soldiers checked their gear again and again. Pilots sat in their cockpits, breathing slowly, calming their minds. Engineers made final adjustments to shields and engines. Everyone felt the weight of what was coming. Cole walked through the hangars, speaking to each group he passed. He told them that they had already changed the galaxy, that their bravery had inspired others, that no matter the difficulty ahead, humanity would not face it with fear. His words gave strength to those around him. Finally, the time arrived. Megan gave the signal and the fleet activated their jump engines. Light twisted around them, and in a blink they appeared near Karos 5. The moon was covered in swirling red clouds. Lightning flashed through the thick atmosphere. Large Dominion platforms floated above the surface, connected by glowing cables. Ships patrolled the area, their engines cutting through the red mist. Ryan took the Resolute forward. His squadron formed a tight formation behind him. He ordered them to stay low in the atmosphere where the storms made detection harder. The clouds shook violently as the human ships entered. On the Sentinel, Cole watched the storm pattern shift. He asked Megan to bring the main fleet forward at slow speed. They moved carefully, using energy dampeners to avoid drawing attention. Then Laura's voice broke the silence. She warned them that the Iron Talons had detected the fleet. Enemy ships were approaching fast. Cole ordered all ships to prepare for battle. Bright flashes appeared in the clouds as the first enemy shots cut through the atmosphere. Dominion fighters burst from the red mist, firing rapidly. Human ships responded with precise fire. Ryan led his squadron through tight turns, avoiding lightning strikes and enemy beams. The storm shook their ships, but they pushed forward. On the ground, Dana's team prepared for deployment. She checked her gear and the energy levels of the cutting tools they would use to enter the facility. She told her team they might face heavy resistance but reminded them of their goal. They nodded and boarded their dropship. The battle in the sky grew intense. More Dominion ships arrived, forming a barrier around the weapon facility. Their engines glowed bright red in the storm. The Iron Talons had arrived in full numbers. Cole stood at the center of the command deck. He watched enemy formations and gave quick orders. He moved ships into new positions, shifting the battle rhythm. He had studied Vrax's tactics. He knew Vrax liked to crush opponents with overwhelming force, but Cole planned to make that strength a weakness. He ordered the fleet to spread out, forcing the Iron Talons to chase many targets at once. Human ships used the storm as cover, disappearing into the clouds and reappearing for sudden attacks. Vrax grew impatient and pushed his fleet forward, breaking his formation. That was the moment Cole needed. He ordered Ryan to break through the left flank. The Resolute accelerated sharply and shot past enemy ships. Ryan saw the glowing towers of the facility through the red storm. He told his squadron to stay tight. They fired at shield generators on the outer platforms. Explosions flashed, sending shockwaves through the fog. Cole then gave the order for Dana's team to deploy. Their dropship dove into the storm, lightning flashing around it. They landed on a metal platform attached to the facility. Dominion guards rushed forward, but Dana's team moved with precision, disabling them quickly. Inside the facility, the halls were dark and narrow. Red lights flickered along the walls. Dana led her team deeper, following Laura's directions from the Sentinel. The sound of distant machines echoed through the chambers. The weapon was close. Above the storm, the battle raged. Vrax appeared on the enemy command ship. His orders were sharp. He demanded his fleet push harder. He believed humans were desperate. He believed they had reached their limit, but he was wrong. Cole ordered a coordinated strike. Human ships formed a wedge and hit the center of the Iron Talon's fleet. Explosions shook the sky. Dominion ships spun out of control. The battle began to turn. Deep inside the facility, Dana's team reached a massive chamber. In the center was the weapon, a large sphere covered in red markings, connected to thick energy cables. It pulsed like a beating heart. Megan confirmed through the comm that the weapon could destroy entire cities at once. If activated, it could break human worlds. Dana ordered her team to plant explosives around the sphere, but alarms suddenly blared. Dominion soldiers appeared from hidden doors, firing wildly. Dana's team took cover. The battle inside turned close and dangerous. Dana fought her way toward the central console. She knew she had to disable the power core before the weapon activated. Sparks flew around her as she cut through the control panel. She shouted for her team to hold their positions. Outside, Ryan sent a message that enemy reinforcements were arriving. Cole realized they were running out of time. He ordered all ships to cover Dana's team. Then a powerful shockwave burst from the facility. The weapon was charging. Megan shouted that the Dominion was trying to activate it early. Cole felt his heart tighten. He ordered Dana to move faster. Dana pulled the last cable free. The weapon screamed with energy. She yelled for everyone to take cover. She activated the explosives and ran. The chamber lit up with a blinding flash. The weapon's core cracked open. Fire raced up the cables. The entire facility shook. Ryan saw the explosion burst through the storm clouds. He shouted with relief. The weapon was destroyed, but the shockwave hit the battlefield hard. Human ships trembled. Dominion ships lost control. The red clouds scattered, revealing the sky. Seeing their great weapon destroyed, the Dominion fleet began to retreat. Even the Iron Talons pulled back, unable to continue the fight. Commander Vrax stared at the destruction. His anger filled the screen. He promised that humanity would pay, but he knew the battle was lost. He ordered a full retreat. When the storm cleared, the Sentinels sent out rescue calls. Dana's team emerged from the facility, bruised but alive. The dropship carried them back to the fleet. Cole met Dana when she entered the hangar. She smiled despite her exhaustion. He thanked her for saving countless lives. Later, the fleet gathered once more. Cole stood before his officers. He told them the truth. The Dominion underestimated humanity, and now the galaxy had seen what humans could do when threatened. Humanity had struck back not with cruelty, but with courage. Word of the victory spread across many worlds. More species began to rise against the Dominion. The galaxy was changing. Cole stood alone at the observation window, watching the stars. He whispered a quiet promise to those lost at Briar Station. He said humanity had risen not for revenge alone, but to protect all who wished to live in peace. The war was not fully over, but the path ahead was different now. Humanity was no longer seen as weak. They were a force that could reshape the galaxy. And they had proven one thing without doubt: if anyone struck humanity first, they must be ready for what followed.